proceed for our next speaker, Dr. Disang Patel. He's practicing endocrinologist at Surat. For today's topic, earlier we think or we already gone through a research review article of our SGLT2 inhibitor. Now the topic which is combining this feasibility of simplification from basal bolus insulin regimen to a fixed ratio formulation of a basal insulin plus a GLP-RA or a basal insulin plus SGLT2 beyond randomized pragmatic trials. Thank you, Dr. Disang Patel, sir. Now you can share your slide.
I'll just add on. From Baroda, he is coming from. So sorry for that. Dr.
Baroda.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Yes, for the correction. And thank you for the invitation to this beautiful webinar of metabolic disease review to all Swasthya team and this metabolic disease review team. And good morning to all of you and Dr. Udman Drusra. So today I'm going to talk about a trial which was published in a Diabetes Care in 2021. And here what they tried to do was the patients of type 2 diabetes who are on the basal bolus regime taking 4 injections per day, and with that their HbA1c was uncontrolled. They tried to switch this patient into GLP-1 receptor analogs and basal insulin combination or SGLT2 inhibitor and basal insulin combination, and then try to see whether this switch will be able to control the HbA1c and what will be effect on the other parameters. So the trial name was BEYOND, and it is a randomized pragmatic trial. So as I told you, this is the article which was published in Diabetes Care 2021, and these are the authors of this trial, and they have done the trial into University of Campania, Naples, Italy. So why this article was chosen? Because till date we do not know that there is any study which evaluated the simplification of complex insulin regime in type 2 diabetes like basal bolus insulin therapy, where a patient need to take 4 injections daily, and whether if we switch these patients who are already taking the basal bolus insulin to any other regimes of simplicity, what will be the impact on HbA1c, hypoglycemia, body weight, total daily insulin dose, and what will be the patient satisfaction. So till date, we know that basal bolus insulin regime are the final regime, and whenever the patient is taking this, we do not touch this regime, and just we go on titrating the dose to see whether the patient is able to achieve the HbA1c or not. But we never go reverse, that we discontinue some rapid acting insulin analogs and then we try to put some other drugs. So maybe sporadically we will be doing that, but there is no trial which recorded that whether we if do such thing, there will be a good control of HbA1c or not. So why relevant in the practice? Because it is estimated that around 20 million people of type 2 diabetes worldwide are currently taking basal bolus insulin regime, and many of these patients do not prefer the 4 injections per day, and which may affect the compliance of the patient and also the patient satisfaction. That may be one of the reasons why these patients are not able to achieve the HbA1c target, even though they are taking the base treatment. So this was a 6 months randomized pragmatic parallel group active control open label single center trial, and total 305 type 2 diabetes patients with age more than 35 years of age and HbA1c more than 7.5 who are currently on bolus insulin regime assigned into 3 groups. The one group continued the basal bolus insulin regime with intensification of the insulin. The second group was a fixed combo group where patients rapid acting insulins are discontinued and patients were put on the basal insulin plus GLP-1 receptor analogs fixed dose combination. So that is our Zultrophy, which is available in India, and also the second one, which is a Lixilan, which is a combination of insulin Lantus and lixisenatide. And the third group was a Gliflo combo group, where the patients again rapid acting insulins were discontinued and patients were continued on the basal insulin and added the gliflozin, any of the gliflozin. So these are the 3 groups they studied, and patients of these 3 groups were advised to titrate the diabetes medication. So this was not the treat to target trial, it was a real life trial. And participants in the Gliflo combo group and fixed combo groups who withdraw from the study because of the lack of efficacy. So the patients who are not able to control the HbA1c at 3 months, then they return to the again basal bolus insulin therapy. Data were collected at 3 months and 6 months, and the primary endpoint was change from baseline in HbA1c at 6 months. The secondary endpoints are proportion of participants with HbA1c less than 7.5% and less than 8% at 6 months, and the percentage of participants with decrease in HbA1c from baseline of more than 0.5%. Total daily insulin doses and number of daily injections at 6 months, percentage of participants with hypoglycemia, change in body weight and fasting plasma, and finally the level of treatment satisfaction, which was assessed by the DTSQ questionnaire. So these are the results. You can see the change in the HbA1c at 6 months. This is the basal bolus insulin group. These are the basal insulin plus GLP-1 receptor agonist group, and this is the basal plus glucosin group. So you can see the HbA1c reduction at 6 months was similar, 0.6 here, 0.6 here, and 0.7 here in all the three groups. And there was no statistical significant difference between the three groups in terms of the reduction in the HbA1c. So the non-inferiority was established here between the BBI and fixed combo group and BBI and Gliflo combo group. Similarly, there was a reduction in the fasting plasma glucose also, which was also similar between three groups, although it was numerically better in the fixed combo group and the Gliflo combo group. The reduction in the weight, the patients on the basal bolus insulin therapy, there was no significant change in the weight. The patients on the fixed combo group had a minus 1.9 kg reduction in the weight, and the patients on the gliflozin also had some reduction in the weight, but only this group, the fixed combo group, had a statistically significant reduction in the body weight, while the other two groups did not show the significant change in the body weight. Now coming to the total daily insulin dose, obviously in the basal bolus insulin therapy with the intensification, the dose of the insulin increased by 12 units at the end of 6 months, while in the basal insulin plus GLP-1 receptor analog group, there was reduction in the insulin dose by 27 units at the end of 6 months, and in the Gliflo combo group, there was a reduction in the insulin dose by 26 units at the end of 6 months, so which is very remarkable. Now coming to the percentage of the patients who are achieving the HbA1c below 7.5 and 8%. So you can see here the number of patients who are achieving the HbA1c at this target are almost similar in all the three, and there was no statistical difference between the three groups. You can see the basal bolus insulin therapy had a more number of patients achieving the target HbA1c as compared to the other three groups. Now total insulin dose, as I told you, the patients who are taking the basal bolus insulin therapy had 62 units of insulin taking at the end of 6 months, while the patients on the Gliflo combo group are 21 units and fixed dose combo are 27 units. The number of insulin injection obviously in the basal bolus insulin at the end of 6 months, while the patients on the other two groups are taking only one injection per day at the end of the trial. Other results are proportion of patients achieving the HbA1c more than 0.5% from baseline are 43% in the basal bolus insulin, 39% in the fixed combo, and 44% in the Gliflo combo. So here also the results are similar and non-inferiority was established. The proportion of patients having at least one episode of hypoglycemia, they are significantly high in the basal bolus insulin therapy at 17.8%, while it was 7.8% with the fixed combo group and 5.9% in the Gliflo combo group. So the number of patients who are having the hypoglycemia are less, statistically less as compared to basal bolus insulin therapy. And there are total 12 dropouts in the study in the fixed combo group and 9 dropouts in the Gliflo combo group, and there was no dropout in the basal bolus insulin therapy. Out of the dropouts in the fixed combo group, 8 are because of the inefficacy, and in the similarly in the Gliflo combo, 6 are because of the inefficacy. So the patients are not able to maintain the HbA1c, so they are switched to again the basal bolus insulin therapy. At 6 months, DTSQ score, which is the patient satisfaction score, which increased significantly to 34.2 plus or minus 3.7 in fixed combo group and 33.8 in Gliflo combo group, while it remains same in the basal bolus insulin therapy. So the patient satisfaction level significantly increased in the other two groups as compared to the basal bolus insulin therapy. So in this trial, substituting the basal bolus insulin regime with the simpler strategy of either a fixed combo, that is a basal insulin plus GLP-1 receptor analogs, and Gliflo combo group achieved the glucose control, which was similar to intensification of the previous basal bolus insulin therapy, with added benefits of less insulin dose and daily injections, less hypoglycemia, and also the weight loss in the fixed combo. These are the strength and limitation of the study. The simple design of the study allowed to evaluate the efficacy of the intervention in the real life daily practice. So here it was not a treat to target study. So the dose of the treatment was titrated based on the real life practice and not based on the trial design. So the results can be applied in the real life setting also. And although the trial was pragmatic trial, it was a randomized trial. So it will bypass the limitation which normally happens with the real life study. And the limitation of the study was this is a single center study, which was done in only in the single center of the Italy, which enrolled most of the Caucasian population. So the results of the study may not be applicable to the broader population and the other races. And it was an open label study. And as I told you, there was absence of treat to target protocol. So the number of patients who are achieving the HbA1c below target are significantly modest as compared to the other trials we are seeing. So what is the take home message? Normally we see the type 2 diabetics patients and we see they are taking the basal bolus insulin therapy. Still they are not able to achieve the HbA1c. We normally keep on titrating the insulin dose. Sometimes the patients are not comfortable with the basal bolus insulin therapy, and sometimes they are also irregular in taking the insulin therapy. So that might be affecting the overall efficacy of this regime. But because there is no superior regime which is available as of date, so we normally untouch and we normally do not down titrate the insulin and go to the other treatment, because we do not have the solid evidences to prove that. But now the Beyond trial provides the evidence that it is possible and safe to switch from the basal bolus insulin therapy to a simpler regime where the patient need to take only one injections and can be supported with the GLP-1 receptor analogs or SGLT2 inhibitor therapy. Although we need to remember that this is only the trial which are done in the patients who are uncontrolled with the basal bolus therapy. It is not needed that we switch all the patients who are taking the basal bolus therapy and having the good control, but only the patients who are not able to achieve the good control with the basal bolus insulin therapy can be switched. And we, with this trial, we have data of only 6 months. So which is also a limitation, because normally if the patient are not again able to control the HbA1c after 6 months, again the final choice will be basal bolus insulin therapy. So we want a data which is a long term and which can provide the efficacy and durability of this switchability for long term. And the answer can be provided by the 2-year extension of the Beyond trial, which is also planned. So which will provide the answer that how long this metabolic benefits of switching the patient from the basal bolus insulin therapy to other combination can persist in the future. With that, I thank you all the participants, and now I invite the experts coming from Dr. Urban sir.
Thank you, Dishank. Very well summarized. The moment these sorts of articles are there, it raises an alarm, and I have to look at always the conflict of interest or funding. But fortunately, there is no funding from any of the drug producing company. Number two, the authors or the people who were involved, researchers, were more or less attached with insulin producing companies rather than with SGLT2 or the GLP receptor. So we can rely upon this data very well, looking to the funding. That's number one. Number two, we always believe that once basal bolus, and for everybody, you should realize here basal bolus means basal plus 3 bolus. So once basal bolus treatment is there, we believe it is at the top of the chart and it cannot be touched. We cannot touch it. And therefore, we try to make minimum possible changes except for changing the doses of bolus. We don't do anything to it because we believe that this is the superior most therapy. So this article, this study changes completely our notion about the untouchability of basal plus 3 bolus injections, and we probably find out some sort of relief from that. Remember, as Dr. Dishank rightly said, many patients came back to basal bolus. All patients were not controlled. But still, it is fascinating to see that basal bolus, those who were not controlled, 30% reached the HbA1c targets. So that is even more than significant, because patients who were taking 4 insulins, 4 injections a day, were shifted either to one injection, all were shifted to one injection a day, either a combo or basal insulin with SGLT2 inhibitors. So this is a sort of very well a shortcut, at least working in 30% of patients, as has been rightly shown. Another important thing, what we always believe that SGLT2 inhibitors reduce the weight very well. But we must always remember that when insulin is going on, SGLT2 inhibitors are helpless in reducing the weight. At the most, they can prevent the weight gain by caused by insulin, but they don't reduce weight. And that is what was nicely shown in this study. Lastly, the dropout rates. Obviously, the dropout rates were because of some side effects or inefficacy, and they all shifted back to basal bolus. Dropout rates in basal bolus were there. I do not know where do they shift back to. And the last thing was the patient satisfaction. Obviously, it has to be very well when you are shifting a patient on 4 units of insulin to a single injectable, where 4 doses of insulin to a single injectable, they would be highly satisfied. So certainly a very well beginning to think or to give a thought. Just one should always be careful that if HbA1c is very, very high, at least see to it the patient does not withdraw insulin completely, especially in SGLT2 inhibitor arm, because then they would end up with non-ketotic acidosis. So always instruct the patient while trying this out. And remember, this is a very, very reliable, very, very authentic trial, and the 2-year results would be very nice. Over to you, Vishal.
Thank you, sir, for your nice comments, and thank you, Dr. Disank, also. Sir, our last speaker, Dr. Hina Gos. Dr. Mayur Patel, sir, wants to tell something. Sir, your mic is
Muted.
muted.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Vishal. A very nice article, well presented by Dr. Disank and well commented by Dr. Ruman. I have a small comment. Usually, we in India, we don't, especially type 2 diabetic patients, we don't initiate with the basal bolus. This advantage again is it only addresses one defect, that is insulin deficiency. While giving GLP-1 and SGLT2 inhibitor or SGLT2 inhibitors, they'll address the multiple pathophysiology, and at least in addition to compliance, it may decrease the HbA1c, additional benefit, and long-term complication aspect also it may address. So even in India, if we give this combination, we hardly go for basal bolus, hardly even, maybe very, very few number of patients with type 2 diabetes, they are on basal bolus. So for us, it's something different experience, but it is a future combination. Metformin, SGLT2 inhibitor, GLP-1 and or DP4 inhibitors, and even basal bolus, they are associated with lesser hypoglycemia and better outcome.
Right, absolutely right. So adding a drug which is already showing cardiovascular benefit is going to be beneficial looking to SGLT2 inhibitors. Agreed.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.